Hey, welcome back, folks. You're watching Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. Now, we take you from the ballrooms to the boardrooms to the back rooms. We take you across the country and across the world, lost in all this fear, fright, and hysteria about the coronavirus, the president's impeachment, the Iowa debacle last night. Many people are not talking about that our president went over to Davos and had a wonderful trip representing our country, talking about how great our economy is here. And one of our good friends was over in Davos to give us a little insight on what was happening out there and other things. We're joined today by Pablo Coirolo. He's the CEO of the Americas for Eternity Blockchain. Hey, Pablo, thanks for joining us today on Liquid Lunch.
Hey, John, how are you? A pleasure to be on.
My pleasure to have you. You look warm and toasty over there. You got the little fire going in the back and everything.
Oh, yeah. But I'm actually here in Colorado this week, so I'm back in the States. So jumped on the other side of the pond.
Fantastic. The news here, most of the left-wing news doesn't really like reporting great things about our president, but I thought he had a great trip to Davos. You were out there. Why don't you give us some insights on what was happening out there in Davos for the big symposium?
Well, I mean, this year, I've been going Davos for 4 years now, especially focused on the whole blockchain space and the whole crypto space. And this was very interesting because this was the first year where I started seeing hedge fund managers, people that would normally not be in this space, start to actively ask about what's going on. And I don't know if you know Barbara Bernard from Windcrest Capital, but she was actually there in one of the panels, and then we got to talk afterwards. And she manages a traditional fund. And even though they're not ready yet to jump into the whole blockchain space, they are actively looking to understand the space because the digitalization of assets is in Europe a reality today. And in the US, it's starting to move faster and faster. So what I saw in Davos was regulatory certainty coming in from many of the European countries, be it Liechtenstein, Switzerland, or Germany. And I saw institutional investors starting to actively really research seriously the space.
So one of the things, you know, we're one of the only shows on television that talks about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Every day we try to enlighten and educate our audience on this new economy, as I refer to it. And I've been saying for a while that it'll be safer for institutions when there's some clear regulatory guidelines. I think here in the U.S., we're a little behind the rest of the world, but it does seem like the new regime in the SEC is trying to put some stuff out there. And then this is the one instance where capitalists like us actually want some regulation, because with some certainty and regulation, that'll bring institutions in and that'll open it up for even retail people, won't it?
I totally agree. And I mean, right now in the SEC, there's a discussion as to what is an institutional investor. And I think that change and that discussion is very, very relevant for the tokenization of digital assets. I mean, that you can have now an exposure in Germany to German real estate through a tokenized fund that's fully regulated by the BaFin, which is the SEC comparable in Germany, it is really incredible. I mean, they tokenized $280 million of real estate, commercial real estate. And I think that you start seeing that this change in the different countries, especially the European countries, is going extremely fast. And I really think that the U.S. is starting on that path, but it also has to be not only from the SEC, but also from senators and representatives, because they are really the ones who make the legislation. The SEC is a regulatory body. So I think that you're going to start seeing things happening in Europe that will make the U.S. reflect that it's missing a great opportunity.
Fantastic. Hey, Pablo, in our last minute here, I know you run all the Americas for Eternity. What's the main thing you're trying to get done for Eternity here in the U.S.?
Well, in the U.S., what we've done is we're doing tokenization of securities. And we've gone with taking the current regulation that you have and going with the current regulation. We haven't tried to make something different. So we've been going with Reg D and what's available to us in the States. But we're tokenizing companies that have from the world's first sparkling tequila to hemp ready-to-drink teas, which they're companies that really are looking for capital to expand their business models. And that's what we're doing in the U.S. I think that the speed of this and the number of companies that could take advantage of this situation would increase if we had more regulatory certainty.
Fantastic. You know, here on Liquid Lunch, we don't mind doing a little cocktail or two. So the next time you're out here on the East Coast, you got to bring us down some of that sparkling tequila and let us test it out. And you keep us posted. Anytime you have anything for us, please come on in by Skype from wherever you are in the world. Your insights are great, and we're always trying to teach our audience about the new economy, and you're right in the middle of it. Thank you very much, Pablo. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
My pleasure. That's Pablo Coirolo, the CEO of Americas for Eternity Blockchain. This is the stuff that we've been talking about every day. You got to learn a little more about it if you want to diversify your portfolio. A lot of these Bitcoin investments are now allowed in your IRA. So I'll keep you up to speed on all that. We're going to take a quick break right now. We're going to go down to Texas after this, and we're going to check in with James Dickey, the chairman of the Texas State Republican Party, right after this. More Liquid Lunch.